Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to yet another episode of the Barakah Blueprint podcast. I am your host, Ibrahim Sharif, and Barakah Blueprint is honored to be in a collaboration today with a guest, a friend, an ustad, a mentor, our brother Salih from Koranpodden, the Swedish podcast that got me to appreciate podcasts to a very different level. Brother Salih, I am so pleased to welcome you to the Barakah Blueprint as the first Swedish guest. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam. It's an honor to be here, to be a part of your podcast. I've been following it. I've been listening to it. And I've seen your journey, and you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Especially with all the video clips and the effects, and most of all, the message.
Ya Rab.
It's clear, it's logical, and it's really good. And I think that your audience are benefiting a lot from your content. So keep up the good work, and it's an honor to be here together with you.
Barakallahu feek wa jazakallahu khair. These are very big words, and I'll be honest, I'm still starstruck. I'm still starstruck from the 2019 moment we had with Koranpodden. We had I did have a podcast as you're familiar with in Swedish that was called Koranpodden. We had a couple of collaborations together 6 years ago in Swedish.
That's true.
Who would have thought 6 years later that we would have the exact same thing? We'd be having the exact same collaboration, but in English.
Yeah.
Two Swedish-speaking dudes in the southern part of Sweden.
Yeah.
Having an English podcast.
We're meeting halfway because you're from Gothenburg, I'm from Malmo, and it's a great part between us. So we found the perfect city between us. It's called Helsingborg, and we're here now. They just built their mosque here, which is fantastic. It's one of Sweden's, if not the biggest mosque, and it's really beautiful. And we're not sitting inside the mosque. This is a building just beside the mosque, and this is where companies can rent an office, and they can do their work here. And the mosque and the brothers here are so generous, so humble, that every time I ask about recording something here or visiting here, they're always like opening their doors for me. There's like no problem at all. So I really, really appreciate that they give us this platform here.
I'll be very honest, I was positively surprised when I came here. Helsingborg Mosque, Allahumma barik, big up. Yeah. I am so impressed with everything that has gone onto this project. Every aspect, to the development, to the community building that they so successfully executed. But on the way to the masjid, as you and I were chatting, you were telling me something. You told me about this this cloud space that they have with different offices that you could rent, and the whole concept is something that I actually was anticipating to see in the Swedish playground or the Swedish environment of the market. But I didn't expect to see it this soon, at least from a masjid. I think they have done it extremely well. But one thing that I am so touched by is their generosity and their hospitality. I mean, I am so grateful. Alhamdulillah, ya Rab. And I'll be honest with you, Salih, when I entered the masjid, because I've been here in Sweden now for a couple of weeks, for 5 weeks. I'm in my 6th week right now. And I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, I so want to go back home. I want to go back home. But honestly, just entering this masjid, and especially seeing the wudu area, I don't know, like I had a tear of joy.
MashaAllah.
I've never seen I know this sounds very weird, but I've never seen an area for wudu that is so professional and clean
MashaAllah.
for a very long time. We do have Yetobosh Mosque as well, who's done a very nice job as well, but this one reminds me of back home, so that's nice.
I mean, for many years, back in the days, you could say, I used to visit Helsingborg, and I used to have lectures here, and used to meet the youth here.
Yeah.
Not in this mosque, their old mosque. And I was always like struck by Helsingborg atmosphere. The brothers here, they're like so educated, so motivated, so humble. And I was always like, there's something special here. And then they took on this project. They bought the land. They collected the money in Sweden to build a mosque. I don't know how many millions it is. They had like live sendings through Instagram, through different platforms, and and everybody's doing it from their free time. So it's just amazing to see, and this gives you great joy and hope in the youth. Like there's so much to be negative about and see the how's this developing and how's it gonna go with this and that. But when you see what they did here, it's amazing.
Yep, I completely agree. No, this has been executed exquisitely.
Yeah, and I wish I was a greater part of this project. They reached out to me, and I wanted to help them more. I just felt like I have my job. I'm a teacher, and I'm doing podcasting. I have a family.
You have your bandwidth.
Yeah, I have my bandwidth. And I've been close to the edge.
Yeah,
close to the wall, as I say. Been very close there, close to the wall. And it's very important to take care of yourself, because you're in it for the long run.
Exactly.
And you cannot just burst and just run like crazy and then understand that, oh my God, the goal is down there. There's so much more. So you have to save some of your energy and know your limits, and tell the brothers, like, I would love to do this, but I'm really busy. And there's never been anybody that's like shamed me, said like, oh, why don't you were there, or they're always like full of respect, and they understand that we all have our limits and capacities for what we can do, and that's very, very important.
But subhanAllah, that is also a very interesting perspective here, because out of the generosity and mercy and kindness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He multiplies rewards that are connected to any act of charity. And not only charity from the financial aspect, but charity from the effort aspect, charity from the time aspect.
Absolutely.
Because mankind was created in weakness. There is a great sense of weakness, especially when you have a community like the Swedish Muslim community, who, unlike many areas, has not been so, how do you say, I've not seen a Muslim community that has been so fought against or marginalized or even alienated by the regional powers and the media outlets and whatnot, like the Swedish community. Now, I'm not qualified enough to talk about other communities, but specifically the Swedish community, from what I have seen in my 27 years of living here, I honestly respect the brothers for pulling off a project like this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It seriously, it was awesome. It was awe-inspiring. Allahumma barak. May Allah bless them, multiply their rewards, bless their wealth, and bless their health.
Yeah, and also, it was so amazing to see, because when they had their, they were collecting money, people donate. They collected like millions in like one live event. They collected like crazy amount of money.
Yeah, one TikTok live. I remember that. That was crazy.
And before, back in the days when they used to build mosques, the first mosque in Sweden, they were built by foreign countries.
Yeah,
like investors, from
that's what everybody says. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem they have usually. I mean,
Yeah, so-
Islamophobes, right?
Exactly. That's how the argument was. Like, we don't want these foreign mosques in Sweden. The thing is that most of them, yes, they were built by some Saudi crown prince or some, rich crown prince, but they just donated and then they just left it. It's not like they're running the mosque.
Exactly, it has nothing to do with them. Yeah.
No. But that was their argument. But this with time you see the falseness in their argumentation, because that was their argument. And then, okay, the Muslims in Sweden said, you know what? Let's collect it ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't need money. We don't need help from outside. We have, because also the self-image of Muslims in Sweden is like, oh, we are so poor, we are weak, we are divided, we are so many different nationalities.
Yeah.
But once a group of young Muslims come together and they want to build a mosque, and they are transparent about the project and they show what they want to do, and they put it out there to the Muslims in Sweden, there's so many, good people out there. They're ready to donate, to support that investment. So that's beautiful to see. So it's not just that we have healthy young brothers and sisters that put down a lot of effort in organizing and collecting and building, but they're also supported by the common Muslim that is ready to donate, that is ready to support the different projects. So this is not just a space to pray in. It's also a witness that we are a healthy community and that we can pull this off by ourselves. What happens with Islamophobes when they see that we build this with our own money? Do they stop and say, okay, this masjid is built by Swedish Muslims? This is fine. This
What's
is
the
okay
next
Muslim.
argument now? What else do you have to say?
Now the argument is, I don't know, but still they're not happy.
Of course,
Still
they won't be happy.
They try to stop this project.
Of course.
So if it's not this argument, they will just find another argument. So it becomes silly.
Of course.
So they also, the mosque is also a witness to the falseness of the accusations, that they accuse the Muslims of support from foreign governments, but actually Muslims can pull this off. And in the end of the day, haters will never be satisfied with you, and that's what we learn from the Quran, and that's the truth. They just make up different arguments.
إن تصيبكم حسنة تسؤهم وإن تصيبكم حسنة تسؤهم وإن تصيبكم سيئة يفرحوا بها. If a good thing was to happen to you, it will anger them, it will irritate them, it will not make them happy.
Yeah.
But if a calamity was to hit you, O Muslims, they would be joyous over it.
Yeah.
The thing is, subhanAllah, I'm really happy that I think this project was one of the biggest Uno reverse cards for Swedish Muslims against the haters, against the Islamophobes. And I'll be honest with you, there's one thing that I kept saying. This is, by the way, my first Ramadan that I have not experienced in Sweden. This is the very first Ramadan that I've never spent a single day in Sweden.
Yeah.
I haven't done that before. Like last year, I spent, I think, a week or two in Dubai. And then I went and visited the family and the local Qur'an school that I go to. I led Taraweeh, which usually happens in Ramadan when I'm in the country. And for many reasons, Akhi Salih, I have said that this is, I think, my happiest Ramadan, because I spent all of it in a Muslim country. But it just so coincides with the most special Ramadan in Sweden. And I'll tell you why I think that. Because every single time I went in, I saw these TikTok lives with the masajid that were collecting charity.
Yeah.
Bro, I was so impressed.
Yeah.
The masajid in Stockholm, the masajid in Helsingborg. And it was such healthy competition
Yeah.
that they started visiting each other and collecting for each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that for me was so inspiring.
Yeah.
So, and I had a lot to say about the waters being polluted here because we're so fought against, right?
Yeah.
But I'm happy that I wasn't too right on that
Mm.
one. Because, I mean, people gathering together and competing for goods and forming alliances for good and khair,
Yeah.
it will always triumph everything else. وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. Brother Salih, we were speaking about Helsingborg, and you did mention your da'wah endeavors, or at least touched on that in the beginning. What I wanted to ask you specifically, because I want to introduce this profile, the man behind Koranpodden, the man behind the podcast that hit the Swedish billboards and that is connected to the Quran. I want to ask, who is Salih? Who is Salih in the Swedish da'wah scene?
You know, that's one of the questions that I ask my guests, you know. It's interesting that you tell me that, you ask me, who am I? Well, I'm born and raised in Sweden. My parents came from Turkey in the 60s. And when I was young, I was seeking the purpose of life. And I found Islam. And the more the time goes, the more I fall in love with Islam and the Muslims. I see so many beautiful, beautiful people. I see how Islam beautifies people's character, makes them generous, makes them loving, that I don't see anywhere else, you know. And I want to show that. I want to show the beauty of Islam. So back in the days, I used to give lectures, and I don't know what happened on the way. I stopped for a little while, but switched over to podcasting pretty quickly. And the podcast just took over from the lectures. Like Mosque used to call me, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just doing podcasting nowadays. Except once a year, I make an exception. You can maybe guess, we've been touching on the subjects Ramadan. Yeah. Ramadan, all the mosques call, and me and brother Salim, very dear brother to me.
Allahumma barik.
Yeah, he's just one of those amazing, beautiful people.
Yes, that is a legend, mashallah.
And him and we, both of us, we have this Quran conversations we have on our podcast. We call it in Swedish Qur'an-centric. I didn't coin that term. Some people that were listening to it. So what we do is we take the short surahs. He studies one short surah. I study the same short surah. We read different mufassirin, you know, interpretations, and then we get together.
Allahu Akbar.
And then we record. This is because Koranpodden, there's so many different guests, so many different subjects, you know. But one of the most beloved subject to me is our Quran conversations.
Why?
Because the Quran is the Quran, you know.
Allahu Akbar.
So we sit together and we go verse by verse. So we say the first verse, we give the translation, and then he tells me what he has found from his mufassirin. I tell him what I read from my mufassirin, and then we reflect on it. What does that mean for our contemporary life in Sweden? How can we live this ayah in our life? I mean, most of the part I'm just listening to Salim because, subhanAllah, he's just natural, you know. I have my notes, you know. I'm like, okay, in Ibn Kathir, it said this and that. He's just flowing natural, man. He doesn't have any notes. I mean, sometimes he has notes. It's just more for in front of him.
Allahu Akbar.
But I just love listening to him. And I when I leave those conversations, it's like I'm walking on the clouds. It's like I'm walking on the clouds. I leave those conversations so uplifted in my spirit. It's just amazing. And we say that like this is not something that's just unique for me and Salim, that we have some special gift or anything. Like this is something anybody could start with a dear friend. Just get together. You don't need a microphone.
No.
Just to have some habit of studying the Quran, because once you delve into the Quran and you start to reflect on the Quran, there's so much wisdom, much wisdom. And if I can just share one, lesson I learned in my conversation with Salim, is like we were talking about a verse. I forgot what the verse was. So we were talking about a specific verse, and then he asks me, "Oh, what's your interpretation? Like, what did you find out?" I'm like, "Okay, I read this verse. I read different shuyukh, and there's different interpretations of this ayah, right? There's different interpretations.
Okay.
And, of all of these interpretations, I think this is the strongest one, the most authentic, I guess."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, maybe they're correct, all of them. Maybe all the interpretations are correct, or many interpretations. Meaning that we shouldn't limit an ayah to authoritative tafsir. You understand?
Okay, I get it.
So like, this is Allah's word,
Mm-hmm.
and we're human beings. We try to understand it. This sheikh, he understood it in this way.
Yes.
This other sheikh, he understood it in this way. And they don't clash with each other. They complement each other. And that's like, maybe for some people it's just like, oh, but that's very obvious. I've heard that from other sheikhs. But when you live it, when you're like talking live with Salim and you have this conversation, and he says that for me, that was like, that struck me. Even if I knew it before, you know what I mean? That sometimes many tafsir, many interpretations can be correct.
Correct, of course.
And we don't have a pope that's going to say this interpretation is the correct one and that one is the wrong one.
Yeah, there's there's no necessary contradiction. There can be overlap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I get it.
So that was beautiful, but yeah. So the Quran conversations, and that's what makes Koranpodden unique also.
When did it start, Koranpodden?
It's been almost 8 years now.
It's been 8 years.
Yeah, I'm on episode. Actually, I'm working on during the summer I take a break, but I'm working on a bonus episode that I'm gonna drop now.
MashaAllah.
And that will be episode 299.
Allahu Akbar.
And my new season will start with episode 300, and that will be a conversation, Quran conversation with Salim. And I never, celebrate goals or, accomplishments. But episode 300, I feel, is a little bit like special. Should be some
little bit is very undermining, by the way, but okay, yeah, sure, definitely. It is special, that we can agree on.
Yeah, so I was thinking get some brothers together, buy some cake, and just have some, it's important, not just like anything you do in life where you're trying to accomplish something, don't forget to celebrate, make something nice. At least you get brothers together. You don't meet so often. So if you release episode 300, get together, eat, share a cake. Why not? So
that's giving me some ideas, actually. Even though I just finished my first season for Barakah Blueprint as we're recording. So this is for season 2, obviously. But yeah, Allahumma barik. I have so many questions. Where do I even begin? I want to tap into your podcast, Quranpodden, because your podcast played a pivotal role in my podcasting journey, both in Sweden, but also as I was setting the frameworks for Barakah Blueprint. Because my why for Barakah Blueprint is that whoever builds a healthy, strong, continuous relationship with the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will preserve and protect that person. And basically you'll be consuming a blueprint for worldly and spiritual success. Now, with that, I want to ask you, could you please elaborate on the why behind Koranpodden?
That's a great question. And the why is so important, because if you know what your why is, when the work gets difficult, the why will keep you going. And the why for me is, this is my heritage, like, this is something that I want to leave for the world. This is what I accomplished, or for Allah's sake,
Allahu Akbar.
Like a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your legacy? What are you gonna leave behind when you leave this world? And we have the concept of sadaqah jariyah, to plant something that gives continuous barakah. You can use that word.
Exactly.
So I felt like with the Qur'anpodden, I left lecturing because, for me, I'm just talking personally, I felt like giving lectures where I'm a speaker and I speak to an audience and I tell them how things are going to be. For me personally, I just didn't feel so comfortable with that, with time, like I just felt like I'm not the authority. I just feel like I'm up here. People are just listening to me. That's not who I really want to be. Even if I'm a teacher, I do that professionally every day. I get into a classroom, I'm standing there and people listen to me. But
what subject do you teach, by the way? Sorry.
Social sciences.
Social sciences. Okay, Allahumma barik. My least favorite subject. But I would love to have you as a teacher, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But the podcast was like a conversation. And the conversation was not about me. I was not in the focus. You understand what I mean? When you're giving a lecture and you're in a mosque, you're like, the audience looks up to you, and then they put questions, and all of a sudden you're like a sheikh or an imam, I didn't feel comfortable with that. But with the conversation, I could lift my guests. All of a sudden we could have a conversation, And I feel like a conversation can be more beneficial than a lecture.
Yes.
I don't know, I heard this report from a scholar called Ibn Uthaymin, rahimahullah, that he had said that the best part of his teaching was when he taught like one-to-one, or him in a small group where he could have a discussion. So I'm not against giving lectures. Absolutely has his, important role of educating people and all that.
Yep.
But for me, I just fell in love with the podcasting, where I could meet different people.
Yes.
I could learn from them. I could listen to them.
Yeah.
And there's so many beautiful people out there. Muslim authors, Muslim movie directors, on and on and on. And like you, when you met me, you're like, oh, we can talk about podcasts. I want to learn so much from you.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That's how I feel with all the guests I meet, like a Muslim author. Like, how did you become successful? How's your workflow? What do you write about? What inspires? Where do you find your energy to move on? So I'm just out there meeting these beautiful people and just learning from them, And I'm trying my best not to be like, oh, I need to get this guest, because if I get this guest, I'm gonna get a lot of clicks and a lot of likes because this guest has a big platform, Like, I want to reach all guests. Like, if they don't even have to have a platform, I'm just, if they have something special, something unique, I want to listen, I want to learn. So I'm just out there. As soon as I meet somebody that's interesting, that, that interests me, which a lot of people are interesting. If you love people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I keep saying this.
The lady that you met outside.
Yeah, exactly.
You helped her up. I'm like, subhanAllah, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I move? And you went there and you helped her. And then all of a sudden you had a conversation, which is kind of unusual in Sweden,
Exactly,
then,
it is.
Yeah. And then you're like, have a great day. And then she's like, may God bless you.
Allahu
You know, and I don't think she's a Muslim, but I'm like, subhanallah, Ibrahim Sharif, you just got a dua from a non-Muslim, made a, dua for him. You
I
know?
should have told her about the Barakah blueprint. No, but
No, but that's the beautiful thing. That's how we should spread Islam, Like I was listening to a Swedish podcast, Muslim podcast, and he was like, oh, there's people, Swedish Muslim.
uh-huh.
He's like, yeah, out in the streets, there's some Muslims that are giving out flyers about Islam. But these flyers are just flyers.
Yeah.
Is Islam for you a flyer? No.
Okay, that is a very intriguing question. Okay, go on.
But helping an elderly lady to go up that step, and she said, God bless you. And you didn't make a big deal of, by the way, I'm a Muslim, la ilaha illallah. Do you want to take shahada now and then? But see it from the long run. You're showing something beautiful. Maybe Allah will put her in your life later on. Or, something else will happen. We don't always have to be like upfront with, the dawah, like, shove up a flyer in the face of somebody.
Yeah. Hear ye. I get you.
Yeah. So and the Koranpodden is, I'm trying to emulate that in a podcast format. It's not like this dawah in your face. It's very like, hey, we have a conversation. Listen. Come and listen. We have some beautiful conversations here that even if you're a non-Muslim, you can benefit from it. You can leave the conversation and just feel, I benefited. And, there is a group of non-Muslims listen to the Quran. They might not be as big as the Muslim audience.
No, but I'm still counting on it though, because the content you're producing, Allahumma barik, is something that definitely touches non-Muslims and Muslims alike. And the reason why is you don't speak in a way that only affects the Muslim demographic, or in a lingo that is only understood by the Muslim demographic in Sweden.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're familiar with what I mean here, because we have our terminologies, we have our slang, and I've noticed, for example, in the lecturing sphere, how much of a variation there is in this. And why am I going in on a tornado tangent here? Why? Because you gave me an aha moment. Actually, I got many aha moments from what you said. And good God, it's so difficult to prioritize an agenda with such limited time, but I'll try my best. One thing that I realized I have an issue with, and I'm getting around it, is the fact that I haven't, in one entire season, I haven't addressed the Barakah blueprint as a conversation.
Yeah.
Because, forget the video, forget imagery, forget studio, forget all of these fancy things. At the end of the day, if you're not authentic enough, and if you're not providing tangible value, what are you providing?
Yeah.
Right? So you said something as in, you have it as a conversation. I feel like for a certain time I've actually addressed Barakah Blueprint as a guy who's sharing a stage or giving a lecture in a hall. And these are two very different things. And subhanAllah, you also gave the example of what is effective and what is not effective. Okay, you can have the conversation. Just go ahead. Or you can have the lecture. That's fine. What are you saying in your lecture, and what are you saying in those conversations? And then later, of course, how are you acting? SubhanAllah, SubhanAllah, the more I talk with you, Salih, the more I realize that I've picked the right person to ask my first podcasting questions to, honestly, because you've hit the nail on the head so many times. Honestly, so many times. One thing I kept telling the students in the Quran school is, at the end of the day, you guys are memorizing Quran. You guys, and I see them as the future Aimma of Sweden. They're memorizing hadith. Many of them later go up to be students of knowledge overseas. And I told all of them, subhanAllah, none of this will matter if your character is trash.
Mm.
And I'm really, really sorry for being so blunt and so unfiltered, but if you are unpleasant, because trash is unpleasant, the odor is unpleasant. If you don't take the trash out of your house for some time, it's going to smell.
That's true.
It's very unpleasant. Why do you want to be unpleasant? Nobody wants to. So make sure that the character that learns Qur'an, the character that memorizes hadith, the character that preaches Islam, this should be the most pleasant character to be around. Now, and of course, Ustad, feel free to always and keep butting in. And each moment I'm thinking, I know when he's gonna butt in, there's gonna be something. So subhanAllah, this is no fixed teams meeting agenda. Even though, yes, as a project manager, I am used to this jargon, but I do want to ask you about something, and feel free to elaborate on it as much as you want. Ustaz Salih, you and I have had very different experiences when it comes to the da'wah scene in Sweden. I have taken the street da'wah approach mainly, and I've touched on the podcasting. I have been given some platforms to give lectures, give khutbah, Friday sermons, and I've been quite a generalist. Like I've touched on things a few times here and there, but mostly it's been conversations in comparative religion, speaking with atheists, with Christians, out in the street, and just having raw, unfiltered dialogue. Now, you've had Koranpodden for a very long time, alhamdulillah. Your podcast, and way before that, your da'wah journey in Sweden, you have seen, and I can imagine you've seen so many faces of the Swedish Muslim scene. I mean, Koranpodden has seen an era where the Qur'an was being distributed and then the translations were being distributed, to an era where people were burning them.
That's true.
So I guess what I want to ask you is, could you please take me and the Barakah Blueprint listeners through this journey? To whichever extent, to whichever detail you want. I just want to hear about it. How was it? How was this journey? Tell us.
I mean, I've also had my moments of, I've also done street dawah. I've had my lectures. But with time, you think about things and reflect. One very important thing for me has been that Islam should feel authentic in Sweden. How can Islam be an authentic part of Sweden?
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So because when my parents moved here, they had a baggage with them.
Yeah.
A lot of parents moving from another country coming to Sweden, you have a baggage. And jumping from one thing just to explain the baggage thing, there's one phrase I've been thinking about deeply, and I've criticized it. So I want to share with you. Let's see what your viewpoint is on it.
Tell me. Okay.
Have you heard the expression Muslim ambassador? You are a ambassador for Islam.
Yeah, 100%. You are, of course.
It's very widely spread expression among Muslims, like you're an ambassador for Islam. You should think about how you act and behave because people look at you. And I thought about that ambassador. That's a metaphor, right? Nobody of us is an ambassador. But what is an ambassador?
Okay.
It's a representative for a foreign country, right? You live in Sweden. You have ambassadors from Denmark, UK, United States, Muslim countries. Ambassadors.
The Swedish ambassador goes to other countries, yeah?
Yeah. So if you're an ambassador for Islam in Sweden, what you're putting forward is that Islam is not a natural part of Sweden.
Interesting.
You're like, I'm an ambassador for Islam, something coming from there, and I'm an ambassador here for a while. I'm going to be working around here. I'm going to represent Islam, which is not part of this. Then I'm going to go back again.
Okay.
So I've moved from being a Muslim ambassador to becoming a Muslim neighbor.
Very interesting terminology.
Yeah. I don't want to be an ambassador for Islam. I want to be your Muslim neighbor. I'm born here.
Allahu
I'm
Akbar.
Swedish, and I'm Muslim, and I'm your neighbor, and we have same challenges.
La ilaha illallah.
I remember back in the day when I was in the mode of ambassador for Islam. What did we used to do in our street dawah? Oh, have you looked at the suicide rate in Sweden? It's so high. Why are people not feeling so good in Sweden? People are depressed.
Yeah.
People commit suicide.
Yes.
They don't feel good. All this stuff, But Islam has the solution. I'm an ambassador for Islam. Well, now the Muslims have similar problems.
Yes.
We have Muslims that have mental health issues, that are depressed. There are these. We have the same challenges.
Yes.
Or we have crime,
We do.
and that affects me like it affects my Christian neighbor or atheist neighbor. So for me, it has been, this is my personal journey. I don't want this to be for anybody else or anything like that. This is my personal reflection I've done. And that has been, how do I move from being an ambassador for Islam, which puts a pressure on you, Like I cannot be ambassador for Islam. Do you know what kind of a responsibility?
The ambassador, right?
Do you know what kind of, how should I express it?
Like the pressure that you have on your shoulders?
My shoulders.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm a human being, bro. I have my issues. I'm struggling. I cannot be ambassador for Islam.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can be a neighbor, And
a neighbor can be pleasant.
Exactly.
You can love your neighbor. You can have a nightmare of a neighbor as well. I agree.
Exactly. Yeah. And a neighbor is part of the country, is a natural part, and it's like we have our, we live in the same country, we enjoy the same things, and we help each other through the society.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look at Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's life, when he was born in Mecca and he lived there, he was a neighbor. He was not an ambassador. He was a natural part of the Meccan society.
You're right.
He had his neighbors. He was dressed like them, So for me, it's been, going through my life, the message and everything, and like, what is authentic Islam, and how can we live that, naturally in Sweden? I don't have all the answers. I'm not finished with my journey. I might be wrong, but this is what I've been thinking about lately. And so Koranpodden has been like, this is your Muslim neighbor podcast, Swedish podcast, This is your Muslim neighbors having a conversation. You can tap into that because maybe you don't have so many Muslim neighbors where you live or get in contact with them. But through the podcast, you can listen to Muslims having a conversation, because on the media, all right, TV, radio, etc., Muslims always have to defend themselves. what do you Muslims think about this? What do you think about that? Defend yourself. You have 1 minute. Then we're going to have a break. And, So for me, it was like, when I had my podcast, some newspaper reporters reached out to me when things were happening. The Quran burning is an example.
Okay.
Oh, well, do you want to come? We want to interview about the Quran burning. No, thank you. I don't want to do it. Maybe somebody else wanted to do it. I drew my line there. And it was all about defending my podcast. It was all about building the podcast. People were like, but you can be on their platform and you can reach like thousands of people and you can say a beautiful message. You know how to speak Swedish.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I draw my line because I think that's so important to know when you're going to say no, when you have to pull your line to build what you're building.
So this is, I think, where I'm going to be asking you a bit more, because I am thinking from my point of view, I would have definitely said yes. Like if I was I'm not going to say if I was in your shoes, but if I was to hypothetically build a scenario where Barakah Blueprint was approached in this situation, now Ibrahim Sharif would be the kind of person that would go into it, right?
Yeah.
Now hearing this is of course making me question, okay, would this be me going in head first blindly without understanding the temperature of the water, right? So I guess I want to ask you, could you elaborate why this was a no moment for you? If you can.
Yeah, absolutely, and I still have that no moment because if you look into history, like in the end of the 19th century, Europe, when you had people laboring in the factories, working class, they didn't have any rights. The military was shooting them. They had a massacre in Sweden where the laborers were demonstrating and Swedish military came and, busted them up and killed.
I'm born and raised in Sweden and this is the first time I hear about it.
Yeah, it's famous. And what did the workers do? They got together. They started their own newspapers. They started their own, platforms. And so we Muslims have been without any platforms for so many years and been used by the media, And they put the narrative.
Yeah,
they're like, Quran burning is the most important subject now and for like 5 years ahead because some person that wants to get citizenship in Sweden. That's why, some of them have said that they burn the Quran so they can't send them back to their home country.
Yeah.
Because of risking to be in jail or whatever.
Yeah.
And, that's the narrative. We want to hear your position on burning the Quran and freedom of expression, And it's just bogus. It's just made up, fake news, that has nothing to do with me. The Quran is beyond that. It's a beautiful message.
Wow.
I don't want to give my attention to this sick person, that's burning the Quran. So I stayed so much out of that, and they contacted me and I said no, and I don't regret it. And that is, because the dunya will pull you away from what's important.
It does.
It's the shaitan's work. He wants you to get bogged down with that ridiculous argumentation if it's freedom of expression or not. And now in Sweden, has come new laws. You cannot tell a police officer that some dirty words to a police officer. You don't have that freedom of expression anymore. There's new laws coming up. Yeah.
Yeah,
But burning the Quran, it was all about freedom of expression. Now comes new laws. You cannot call the police dirty word, or insult the police officer.
Oh yeah, I read an article about that. Yeah,
police officers.
Yeah, I read about because the article mentioned a specific slang that we used as children.
Yeah.
I remember we used that in the schools as well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
And children are children. They're gonna say funny stuff. You cannot take that as a police officer.
But
if a child
I
comes
should take it if they want to burn my holy scripture.
Exactly. You should just be quiet, happy, have a
Yeah.
big fat smile on your face, and let them burn the Quran,
When
stamp
they're
on it,
violent,
put bacon.
Yeah.
So
Okay, wow.
they just expose themselves for who they really are. It's not about freedom of expression. It's
Mhm.
just about insulting the Muslims.
Yep.
You know, insult you, push you down, and you should just smile. You shouldn't even protest because then you're against freedom of expression. Now there's demonstration about Gaza, right?
I'm sorry. I was thinking
Yeah.
cut you off. You're saying you can't. So okay, you can't protest because then you'll be against freedom of speech. You can't use freedom of speech because then you'll be against freedom of speech. Okay, sure, fair enough. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Absolutely, you're fine. You're going on about the Palestine demonstrations. Yeah.
There was one guy, he dressed like the Prime Minister of Sweden.
Yep, and I saw all the drama about it.
It became a big drama because a dude dresses like the Prime Minister
Yep.
and wants to make in a demonstration.
Yes.
He is using his freedom of expression.
Yep, but drawing images of a historical figure
Exactly. It's not-
doing unspeakable things, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
fine.
it's double standards.
Of course.
And they have exposed themselves, and the disaster which is happening in Gaza is also exposing the double standards of human rights, of never happening again, of never seeing a war, and
Yeah,
never,
right.
killing babies, and ethnic cleansing and all that coming back again.
Yep.
And Swedish politicians being quiet about it, and so subhanallah, all these trials just exposes the falseness in their argumentation. So I'm just like, I don't want to be on your platform, your narrative.
Because you're contributing to a power that already pollutes the waters.
Yeah, I wanna build something that
Okay.
is beautiful, that I want people to listen to, and so that's where I drew my line.
I respect that.
But I totally respect the brothers and sisters that go into that debate, because some people have to take that debate that's going on the newspapers and on TV and stuff like that. But I'm just saying my personal, thoughts on it.
No, of course. I mean, and you're very right in saying that, because at the end of the day, what you're saying is 100% true. We don't have media power.
No.
I mean, as Muslims globally, we're getting that back with social media. It is still an uphill's battle, but it's an ongoing struggle.
Brothers can't write Palestine on Facebook. I'm on the old platform, Facebook. They can't write Palestine, can't write Gaza. They have to put like different symbols.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
with the number 3 and then the emojis and stuff.
Because they know the algorithm will, identify the post and will downgrade. And
because it's a borrowed platform. At the end of the day, it's never going to be yours.
Exactly. And we're on their platform, and so like I can just say something that when I've been building Koranpodden, I'm thinking about my audience, and I have a Facebook page for Koranpodden.
Yep.
I'm like, no, the most important platform will be the newsletter. So I have a newsletter connected to Koranpodden. So people who want to get the news behind the scenes, who wants to follow the Koranpodden behind the scenes and the development of the different season, what's coming up and stuff like that, I tell them, please join the newsletter.
There is a guy who's going to listen to this who's going to be so happy.
Yeah. So my most important advice to any Muslim content creator is be out there on TikTok and Instagram and all the platforms that are existing and that will come. But right now, one of the platforms that you can build and where you don't have the algorithms, affecting, or, they could just ban you. What are you going to do with your 30,000 followers on Facebook if they overnight just bans you? What are you going to do? So that's why more and more people are going into newsletter, email, and in that way.
Yeah.
And Koranpodden, I was also, when I built it, I was like, it has to have an economic foundation, because there will be expenses. I, as a private content creator, I cannot bear all those costs. I need economic support. And there's so many different ways of building that. I built it through the listeners.
Okay.
My content is free. But if you like it, if you have some pennies over, if you want to donate, you can donate. And there is brothers and sisters in Sweden that donate. Even non-Muslims donating.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're donating, and I got their contact information. And it just hit me. I got this from a YouTuber. I was influenced. And I'm like, okay, they donate, and they believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, I just call them up because they're swishing. So I get their swish number. So I'm just calling them up. I'm like, Assalamu alaikum, this is Salih from Koranpodden. I just call you just to personally thank you. And they're just, you know what the number one reply is always?
What?
This is so little I'm doing. This is so little. This is nothing. This support I'm giving you. All brothers and sisters.
Wow.
All of them are humble like that.
What a community.
Yeah.
What a community. Allahumma
and
barik.
some of them, many of them, they're like, I'm so busy, Saleh, I can't listen to your podcast, but I know there's other people listening and I want this to continue. That's why I'm donating. So they're donating for something that they don't themselves take part of, but they know that other people are taking part of. And so I was calling them, just spontaneously, not asking them for anything, just want to thank them. And then I'm like, how can I take this to the next level? We're living in a digital age. Everything is like zeros and ones, digital stuff. Newsletter is digital, nothing analog. I'm going to write them a letter. I'm going to write them a thank you letter. I'm not going to be able to reach all the ones that donate, but I'm going to start writing letters. Bro, I've never felt such a, gratitude of something,
like an authentic connection.
Authentic connection. Just like I sent them a message. I'm like, I asked in a very humble way.
Yeah.
Like, could I have your address? I would just want to send you something.
Allahu
and
Akbar.
then I have a letter. I have a page, and I just start writing. And I add some Palestinian stickers there. We talked on the bus.
Wow. Okay. I
add some Palestinian
goodies.
Exactly. Add some Palestinian stickers. I have a folder information about the Qur'an, I add that in there.
MashaAllah.
And I write my letter, thank you letter, and write some stuff there. And I get an envelope. I buy a stamp. I don't remember when I bought a stamp last time. I buy stamps and I put them. I have like four letters at a time, 3 letters at a time. I take them to the post office. I just dump them in there.
Up until I had this podcast episode, I forgot about the existence of postal stamps.
Exactly.
But also one thing, Salih, I just want to...
It's not just packages. You can actually...
It isn't? Really? Okay. So, back in your day, did you guys carry these big phones on your pockets or not? How could you download TikTok on them? No, I'm kidding. But Salih, jokes aside, you've been telling me on the way to the masjid that you were this old timer, this dinosaur, and while it's partially true, no, I'm joking, but while it is the case that your experience in the da'wah field by far surpasses mine, and even though I can't believe that I'm talking to somebody who's still on Facebook, and I can't believe that someone would spend their time on Facebook or making content for Facebook, but I guess, it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah. Excuse me for cutting you off there,
please.
But people tell me, like, Salih, if you just did this on TikTok, you would reach like 10 times the audience that you're reaching on your
You're
Facebook.
realizing what I'm about to tell you, but good. Okay.
But and then there is this part in me that I'm like, I've looked at TikTok, and Instagram and Facebook, they're copying TikTok and they put elements of the TikTok thing.
Yeah, of course, obvious.
And I've experienced it.
Of
and
course.
I'm like, oh my God, I get hooked up.
YouTube.
Exactly.
Facebook
YouTube.
Shorts
Everybody,
things,
exactly. Everybody has copied it.
LinkedIn as well.
And I experience it. And I'm like, yo, if I download TikTok on my phone, I'm going to get hooked up. So I've been hesitating, and maybe maybe I'll find some brother or sister that can put some stuff on TikTok.
Yeah, a clipper. Yeah.
Exactly. Other than that, I'm just going with podcast. But the letters, just going back to the letters, I sent out the letters, and the people that got the letter, some of them, not all, but some of them, they take a picture of the letter and everything, the Palestinian stickers, my letter, the envelope. They take a picture and they send it to me, and they're like, thank you so much. This meant so much to me that I got this from you. And I'm just like, there's so many beautiful brothers and sisters in Islam and even non-Muslims that are donating to Koranpodden, that believe in it, you know, and they put their hard-earned money to donate, to support it. And I'm just, you know, if I could just give something back with a physical handwritten letter thanking,
wow.
I think that's something beautiful.
I think it's magnificent, and I actually wanted to continue to this, Salih.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because however much you kept telling me on the road here, this thing about you're sticking to old platforms. You know what you've done? You've said the most advanced thing, which is that you've realized something that this content creator has a long way to go, is that we are always, or so far, we're on borrowed platforms.
Yeah.
Your letters, be it the email newsletters or even the handwritten one, bro, there's no algorithm that can stop that. Literally, it's so authentic, and it's you, and this is your chance to take this conversation that we were talking about, you know, Koranpodden being a conversation, and I actually want Barakah Blueprint to be more conversational, and this is, inshallah, and I'm happy that the listeners and the viewers are a part of this journey, and even the Barakah base camp, those who know they know the Telegram group that's is still free to join, and the link is going to be in the bio. I've realized that this should be much more of a conversation, and I think Allahumma barak, you've hit the nail on the head, Brother Salih, and to not go way off topic, there is actually one topic that I want to talk to you about before closing, and it is particularly Hijra. Because while it is still a fresh topic from our earlier Swedish recording, it is also a fresh topic on a conversational matter for people in Sweden, or so I have seen. Because I've only seen the TikTok side of things, and unfortunately the TikTok sphere that I have seen has been very like cancel culture, has been very like people trying to best one another. I mean, I've ended up in conversations and in spheres with Muslims that I absolutely never want to be in again, which is it's very shameful and embarrassing to say, but this is reality, right? I guess this brain rot, toxic culture doesn't have any, you know, specific targets. It targets everybody. But what I'm trying to say with this is that I don't know how the conversation has been in real life on the field. I've talked to my family. I'm hearing that people are more positive towards the Hijra concept, specifically because Hijra is so multifaceted and it can mean so many things to so many people, but specifically leaving this country and moving to a Muslim country. So that particular paradigm. How often is this a conversational topic that you're observing, be it immediately or through your mediums of usage? And if you're comfortable sharing that, of course, where have you landed conclusion-wise?
Yeah, it's a really great question. Just to finish off the conversation we had just here about
please.
Conversation, because when I started Koranpodden, when I used to reach my guests, I used to tell them I would like to interview you. And for me, there's a big difference between interview and a conversation. So now I've moved over to ask my guests, I would like to have a conversation with you.
Okay, wait, hold up, step back, because this is something. Let's back this up a little bit, because this is something that I have heard being mentioned so many times, and I'm still trying to understand it. Ustad, I'll be honest with you, Ustad. I don't think I fully comprehend it, but slightly though. Because I mean, you're saying interview and then you're saying conversation. Can you? can you try to press on the difference between the two?
Yeah. So interview for me is I prepare a bunch of questions.
Yes.
And you are the expert, and I just tick off my questions, you know.
Okay.
And I go from question to question to question. And
Okay.
that's an interview for me.
Yes, of course.
A conversation is more like a dialogue between two people. And my guest is always the center of focus.
Yes.
That's the one that's going to have the most say. I'm going to, pull the conversation in a direction. I always tell my guest how, But a conversation is, I never write down any questions. It's a conversation for me is live. I have some topics in my head. I know where I want to navigate. But it's never like I tick off boxes and there are like specific. How do you know when to use what? I let it go with the flow, And after doing many conversations or interviews, you start to learn and get the craft. It's a craft.
Have you started an episode as an interview and then let it go into a conversation and vice versa as well?
Yeah, but I mean, I left interviews a long time ago, but I used the vocabulary. I was always saying, I want to interview you. And I'm like, I don't feel that interview. There's something different there from conversation and interview,
Do you know what I feel like when someone says interview?
Yeah.
I feel like there's one mic like this.
Yeah.
And there's a backdrop. Yeah. And then somebody holding the mic out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like an interview is like I talk to the mic and then I give you the mic. But a conversation is we have two mics.
Yeah.
And I don't cut you off, and we have a dialogue. And I also have something to contribute to the topic.
Yes.
So that was. But you asked me a very important question.
Yes.
Can you take me back to that, because I almost forgot it.
The problem is I never ask important questions. I just talk. But but there's. I'll tell you what though. This is I think one of the central questions of Barakah Blueprint, and it's about the Hijra concept.
Yes.
Just what I'm thinking about is
where I landed. What's my take on it or thoughts about it?
So partially what your conclusion is, but also what have you observed? What is it talked about often? Is it something that people are people thinking in that direction?
I think many Muslims think about Hijra.
Yes.
Many have double citizenship.
Yes.
And the politicians, they're sending signals now that you should not have double citizenship. We should not allow that because they have double loyalties all of a sudden,
Oh, really? It's to that level now?
That's the latest. Yeah. We want you just to have loyalty to one country.
Do you have double loyalty, Salih?
I have double citizenship, but I have one loyalty.
Allahu Akbar.
And that's to Allah.
Allahu Akbar.
So I have two citizenships. I have Swedish citizenship and I have Turkish.
Really?
And I have no loyalty to Turkey. And I have no loyalty to Sweden.
Yeah, exactly.
From a state perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. You shouldn't.
But I have loyalty to Allah and I have loyalty to my neighbors.
Yes.
And I'm living in Sweden, so my loyalty is to my neighbors in Sweden. If I would move to Turkey, my loyalty would be to my neighbors there. But state has never been something that I'm going to have a loyalty.
There's a responsibility. There's a big difference between responsibility and loyalty.
I pay my taxes. I follow the law, all that stuff,
Exactly, of course.
But I'm not going to worship the state. I'm not going to wave a Turkish flag and be all proud of it. Like, nationalism has never been something that has attracted me.
It's not part of a brand that you want.
No. So, but back to Hijra. So there's many Muslims think about it, and the politicians are always, these microaggressions. The signals is always, you're not welcome, you're different, And so many Muslims, they start thinking like, I'm not part of this, and they're totally racist or like, you don't belong to this country. You should move back to your home.
Exactly.
Bro, I'm born here. This is my home.
Yep.
So, but Muslims, hear that language, and also, you're struggling to try to practice your religion. So I understand that, the feelings that you have, and I'm thinking about myself also. But when you're working to be a neighbor and not to be ambassador, Hijra concept becomes a little bit like last effort. It's not the forefront thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying, like, I want to live my Islam here. I want to help the Muslims to practice their religion here and should not be any problem. We should have our rights to practice our religion.
Okay.
It's tough sometimes, you know. But I think it's a very individual thing. And it should be up to the individual to think about it and go through it in their life.
Okay.
You know. So for some people, Hijra is very important. They have to leave their city because the city that they're living in is pulling them to networks that they should not be part of. They maybe need to move from one city in Sweden to another city in Sweden. That's their Hijra.
Okay.
Some people needs to make, because the first Hijra is the Hijra of the heart.
Yes, correct.
Before the physical Hijra.
Yes.
For some people, you know, they're in a situation in their life that they have tried that they need to move to a Muslim country.
Yes.
And they feel comfortable about that. That feels right for them. And that's their Hijra. And they call it their Hijra. And I'm fine. That's your Hijra. May Allah reward you for that. And that's your Hijra. The thing is, you have to be careful with like blank, you know, like all Muslims in Europe have to make Hijra now. Or there's not many voices like that. But it's easy that the question can turn into that. It becomes like a general advice. And, you know, back in the 90s, it was like, you're not allowed to live in Sweden. You have to make Hijra. You know, the only way you can live in Sweden or a non-Muslim country is that you make Dawah or something like that.
Yeah, and that one was conditioned as well.
Yeah, and then you have this, you know, Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam. And, you know,
correct.
And it's also, it's not so black and white in a globalized world, you know.
Okay, sure.
I'm thinking like, this is a thought that came to me before we were going to have this interview.
Okay.
I was like...
Or conversation.
Thank you for correcting me. You know, I'm still struggling with that interview.
No, but you know what? I'm happy that you said that, and I'm not gonna take too deep of a tangent because you're in a flow here. Because I've been giving nasiha from you were asking me earlier about feedback that I was receiving, and the one of the points of feedback that I received was that they asked me, "Are you an interviewer or a conversational podcaster?" And I couldn't answer the question. So I've realized that I have taken the role of an interviewer in my previous works and recordings. And for some reason, I feel like, what happens if I move into the other lane and see how that goes?
I think we have had a great conversation here.
I think we've had an amazing conversation, as a matter of fact.
I mean,
you and I always have amazing conversations, cameras on or off.
Yeah. But there always has to be one person that's pulling it forward. That, of course, you know, puts the question. But mashallah, you have a lot of experience, and we want to take part of that too. You know. But I was thinking about, before coming to this interview, I was thinking about the Hijra concept, and then I was like, you know, one of the greatest Hijra could be just to move out to the countryside. You know, out to nature, out to Allah's creation. And there's beautiful spots in Sweden. You know, leave the busy city life, you know, and just move out to the country. Be close to the nature.
Okay.
That could be a Hijra also. Okay. And then I was like, now when I'm talking to you, it's like, it doesn't always have to be a permanent Hijra.
Okay.
It can also be a limited time period Hijra.
The Hijra to Abyssinia was temporary as well.
Temporarily, exactly. And also, like, I don't know if I'm coining a new term here, weekly Hijra. I mean, you know, like, for me, it's very important to go out to nature.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because, you know, in the city and you're busy and all the stress and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you come out to the nature, you come to Allah's creation.
La ilaha illallah.
And you see the sunset, or you see a big tree, and you see all these. You just take a deep breath, you just feel this beautiful air, and you're just like, subhanallah, you know. Now all of a sudden you feel a special connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I actually just imagine myself being in the forest or something. I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
It is very individual.
I had a friend that visited Norway, the mountains. You know, it's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And I read these Muslim converts, like Knud Holmby, Danish convert, traveled to North Africa and he went through the desert.
Yeah, Allahumma barik.
There's another convert called Isabella Eberhardt.
Okay.
Originally Russian, moved to, let me get it right, Switzerland, and then also traveled to North Africa and fell in love with the Bedouins, learned Arabic, wrote in Arabic, knew many parts of the Quran, and traveled the desert and just fell in love with the desert. And she's a writer, and she wrote beautiful sceneries of the desert.
That's beautiful to hear.
Meant,
MashaAllah, tabarakallah.
I'm looking at the time, brother, and I don't want to take more time than we had in our interview. But go ahead. But, I want it to be equal. I don't want my interview to be very long and yours were short. I want them to be equal, inshallah. And
that is
now
completely
we're reaching
fine.
That
is completely fine. I have absolute respect for that. Is it okay if I ask you just 2 questions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then in this case, I'll keep them to the 2 most important questions.
Yeah.
Before we close and before I give you my final question, Ustad Salih, we've talked about legacy.
Yeah.
We've talked about Hijra. We've talked about the role that Islam plays both for us individually, wherever we are, as well as in a societal context. So this question, Salih, is if this was your last recording, this is your last podcast, be it if this is a Koranpodden podcast or if this is your last appearance, and if you're thinking about Koranpodden, if you're thinking about Koranpodden's impact, Koranpodden's legacy, you think about Koranpodden's brand. And I'm talking much more about the conversations that ensued. What would your final episode be like?
Oh, that would be a Quran conversation, without a doubt.
I was gonna guess with Salim.
Yeah.
Subhanallah, you know why? Because I have my reflection buddy. I have my Khalil.
Yeah.
And he who listens to this, he's gonna know.
Yeah.
I would also want a final conversation to be with him, subhanAllah, and I haven't invited him to Barakah Blueprint yet, and I'm actually ashamed of that. So that should be the case. Ustaz Salih?
There is when you have a best friend,
Yes.
It's just a blessing from Allah, and Salim has become that friend for me, and I hope that we can keep that relationship for a long time. And Koranpodden, 300 episodes during 8 years. It's a journey, and you're not always gonna be on the same topic all the time. It's
Correct.
gonna come changes, and you're gonna have different thoughts, and so it's it has evolved a lot, and there's so many different subjects. And a couple of people have reached out to me, and they were like, your name, Koranpodden, it sounds like you have grown out of your name, because you have some episodes where you talk about business, you have some episodes where you talk about something else, and you never even quote a Quran verse or anything,
Okay.
So maybe you should change the name to something else that incorporates or that includes the vast topics you have.
Dare you name it Koranpodden, Salih? How dare you? What do you say if someone was to say that to you? Right?
Nobody has questioned me like
really. Thank God. Okay.
Sorry. There's been one time one person critiqued, "Who are you to have a Koranpodden?" Actually, there's been one person, and that was in the beginning.
Okay, who are you to have a Koranpodden then?
But just to come back to the first one, it's like, I thought about it, and I'm like, no, I don't want to change the name.
Of course, as you shouldn't, yeah.
Because I always want to have that foundation. I always want to have that connection to the Quran. So even if I have different subjects, sometimes feels like, oh, it's not connected to the Quran, which you could argue it is connected to the Quran because the Quran is so vast. But if you have the argument that it's not connected, at least when I'm off track, the name reminds me, Salih, don't forget. And the people who listen, there's people who listen sometimes, and then you have hardcore fans that listen to every episodes. You have hardcore fans, and I've tried to reach that audience that listens to all the episodes, and I'm like, which are your favorite episodes? And their favorite episodes is the Quran conversations. So just to keep me grounded is the Quran. And I talked to Salim about it. I'm like, Salim, these Quran conversations that we have, that so many people like, we have to keep going on that. Because if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to leave something that's going to make an impact, if you can connect your work to the Quran, you cannot lose. You cannot lose.
Allahu Akbar.
And it's coming back to the niyyah, in the end of the day, if it's not accepted by Allah, it was for nothing.
Exactly.
So we pray to Allah that He will accept, and to have conversation about His word is something beautiful.
Ya Rab.
Coming back to the name of Koranpodden, there was only one person that had an issue with that. Who are you to have this? You have not gone to the university or been to Al-Azhar or Medina University.
You haven't even gone to the Koranpodden University. So, how dare you, man?
Yeah. But I hope in my conversations that I've never utmålat mig, as they say in Swedish. How can you find a
and
good...
I'm now trying to think, how am I going to translate that? I haven't come across or portrayed yourself,
portrayed myself as an imam or a sheikh or an authority on the Quran.
Okay.
But just as a person that sees the beauty of the Quran, loves it, and wants to reflect upon its meaning as the Quran encourages its readers to do. The Quran has never said, oh, you who have studied at this university or have this aql or have these conditions, please reflect. It talks to the reader. Think about this, think about that. And the reader is everybody. It could be a mother in Tunisia. It could be a farmer in Pakistan. Anybody that reads the Quran wants you to engage with. Could be an
intellectual and could be an addict.
Exactly.
Everyone.
Anybody that reads the Quran. So I'm like, listen, you can share what you reflect upon the Quran. Just let it come across not as an authority. Just let it come across like, this is my experience. This is my reflection, And we're not some angels. Maybe sometimes we say something that's wrong, but then it was my opinion. And I try to the best of my ability, never put forward an opinion I have on other people. Like, this is the opinion and you should follow it. This is what I have come to this is my conclusion. Because there is sheikhs, there is ulama, there is knowledgeable people that, that has that authority. I don't have that. But I have the conversation.
All right. Well, Sheikh, Imam, and authority of Quran, Salih. May Allah bless you and protect you. Ustad, Allah barik feek. Well, you know what? Even if I portrayed this in a slight Bosch sarcasm, I am going to say that Ustad, I see you as a mentor of mine. Allahumma barik. I am truly, truly happy to have you in the Barakah Blueprint podcast, which brings me to my final question.
Yes.
Ustad Salih, what is your Barakah Blueprint?
My Barakah Blueprint, it is it's the Quran. It's the beauty of it, the beautiful message. It's Allah's words that He has revealed to us, and I'm a humble slave that is, with my little knowledge that I have, try to understand it. But I see the beautiful impact it has done in different human beings, Like the Quran just changed the world. Like every historian, non-Muslim historian, when they studied the Arabs, the tribes, they were just small tribes. They were fighting. Yes, they had beautiful poetry, but they were fighting. But then came the Quran, and it just made a revolution. It just spread civilization, just spread this beauty, technical innovations, civilization. And it's changed human beings' lives since it revealed. And I hope that has impacted me. And, you see the beauty, like Malcolm X, it impacted his life. Isabella, Knut Holmbio, all the guests on Koranpodden that I've talked to, they have mentioned that they read the Quran and it changed them. Actually, I'm just going to say this also. I started something called Free Quran. So if you get on...
Tell me about it.
If you get on Koranpodden's website, you can order a free copy of the Quran.
Okay.
In Swedish translation. And I've been going on for a long time with that. I don't know how many Qurans I've sent out. So people just write their name, address, they pay for the shipping, and then I ship it out. And I was in Stockholm in a Muslim gathering.
Okay.
Yasmin Mujahid was there.
Of course.
And they had organized a dinner and people were there. And then a sister came up to me. It's like, I just want to thank you because when I was interested in Islam, I ordered a free Quran from you. And I ordered it and I read it and I converted to Islam.
MashaAllah.
So, may Allah accept.
Ameen Ya Rab. Ameen. Are there any final points you want to add, Brother Salih? Where people can find you, your free Quran project, for example, your ongoing content? Where can we find you? We'll have you in the show notes, of course.
I have actually tagged all the English conversations.
Okay. Beautiful.
So I will give you the link. So when they click the link, they will just get all the English conversations. Like I have a conversation with Yasmin Mujahid, Yasa Qadi, but also other Muslims in the English language.
That's great.
Just a couple of introductory words are in Swedish, but the conversation is in English.
That is fantastic.
So that link is enough. Just make dua for me, pray for us, and I thank you because you have asked excellent questions.
I appreciate that.
You're an excellent conversationist. And you have asked all the best questions. So I feel like I've said everything I can say.
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to migrate quickly to the other camera because the first camera died. But you know what? That's not going to stop us. Brother Salih, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Honor has been all mine. May Allah bless you and multiply your success and bless your wealth and bless your health. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.